Hello, everybody. Welcome to Academy Unscripted. My name is Niki Stewart, and I'm the Chief Learning and Engagement Officer at the Academy of Natural Sciences. And I'm here today with Lin Perez. Hi, Lin.
Hello.
Lin works in the Patrick Center for Environmental Research at the Academy. They are a software developer and the leader of the Environmental Data Science section. I hope I got that right, Lin.
You got it.
Tell us about your work.
Well, the EDS section, as we say, just to keep it short, kind of just works around using data. So it's all about the quantification of the natural environment. We use data that's derived from models, so like computer-derived models, where we mimic certain scenarios within the natural environment. And then we also use like field-derived data. My team takes that data and does a series of really cool things with it. We make decision support tools. We make our own models. And then our kind of new like frontier for us is working really closely with computer scientists over on Drexel main campus. And we try to essentially make big data accessible to a wider constituent. So that's mostly what I do.
So what's a decision support tool? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, it's kind of just like an online resource. So it's just a website where someone can go to this tool and put in a series of things that are of interest to them. And we essentially provide resources that help them decide where to make investments in the environment. So
the tools that you're creating, who's the primary user of them? Like what sectors of the world are really going to that website?
So the tools that we develop are primarily for stakeholders that we work with directly within the context of a project called the Delaware River Watershed Initiative. So these are our colleagues that we work within the Delaware River Watershed that are doing work focused around land protection and agricultural restoration.
As you're describing the tools you create, I'm wondering, does the tool come first and then the people that want to look at it? Or were you sort of contracted to create these things by the group and then responded?
We're often contracted by a funder to develop the tools, but the development of the tools, we work with the stakeholders hand in hand. So the tool will have zero relevance if it's not designed to kind of service a specific need.
Yeah.
So we've kind of found the balance of serving the needs of our funders and the people that are doing work on the ground. A lot of the work that we're doing now is focused around impact analysis. So that's saying that, like, if I preserve 5,000 acres of forest here, it'll prevent, 500,000 tons of sediment getting into this waterway.
Yeah.
So that kind of information is relevant to, like a wide audience.
So what is it that you love about this work?
It's problem solving. We're just constantly problem solving. It's really fun to be, just to share space with folks that are doing work in the natural environment. And my brain I'll hear one person say something and I'll remember it, and I'll hear like 3 other people say something similar. And that is often how an idea for a tool is spurred. You identify the issue and then come up with a novel way of spinning it up or addressing the question. And you realize that actually there are similar questions that people are asking across this broad watershed. And then we just provide the resource.
That is incredibly creative work. And I don't know that when we say data support tools, I would have assumed that
I left that out.
Years that you've been doing this work. Has anything surprised you?
A lot of the work that I do for the DRWI specifically is focused around landscape modeling. So looking at land cover characteristics, and then quantifying the amount of pollution that moves through each one of those land classes and seeing what the land class contribution is within a watershed. And it's just fascinating. It's fascinating to see numbers of what's coming out of a pipe and shooting into our waterways. To think about how many thousands, really millions of tons of sediment or nitrogen and phosphorus are kind of sloughing off the landscape and coming into our waterways. You don't really think about the magnitude of it until
Right.
you start to see it in watershed scale and see the aggregation of that information. So yeah, that was shocking to me.
I would imagine that the seeing of the numbers or the data letting you know what's really being moved around, for me, that would then push me to think about where's it going? Where's it settling? What's it covering up? I feel like it would push me to 150 new questions for every question answered. Let's talk about your background for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come to be doing this kind of work? What's the background of someone who knows both the data side and the computer side, as well as has an interest in all of the questions like how much sediment is coming off of land into the water?
So I actually thought I was was originally pre-med, and I took an ecology class, and I was just fascinated. Just the subject of which is plants specifically, and learning about plant ecology. I could not shake it, and I could not pay attention in like an anatomy and physiology class anymore. So I finished a bachelor's degree in ecology, again, because I like to problem solve. I decided that I would pursue a master's degree in landscape architecture. And so I have a background in design. It's essentially it's applied ecology and problem solving.
I love that you just described that as applied problem solving. That is so what landscape do. Are maps part of what you're creating as well? Cartography specifically?
It's kind of it's implied. It's implied. So with the kind of work that we're doing, maps are the basis for everything. GIS is the basis for everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's basically it's the mode for how we digest our information and understand our work at scale.
All right. Shall we move on to the lightning round?
Do it.
Number one, what is your favorite item in the Academy's
I
collection?
have monkey heads that I pass frequently, and I'm completely fascinated by them.
I love that. And so then what would be the least favorite?
There's a bat that frequently comes out of a jar at public events, and I have to often leave the room.
I am typically not in the room when that happens as well. Number three, if you could plan an event at the Academy, what would the focus be?
I would love to be able to create an event that's kind of like customized for a user, where you perhaps interact with software or just even just like a watershed scientist, and we can show you where you live and what lives by where you live. So like, what is the specific ecology?
I think we can make that happen. Number four, what is your favorite diorama?
Polar bear.
The polar bear. Okay,
bear.
what other department other than your own would you like to work in?
Entomology.
And what department would you not like to work in?
Wherever that bat is.
I had a feeling we were coming back to that bat. That's pretty good. If you could be another animal or plant for the day, what would you choose?
It'd have to be something that flies.
What is your favorite Philly spot?
South Philly barbacoa.
I agree.
Yeah.
And the last question is, what's the most wondrous thing in the natural world to you?
The mountains. My family is from the central mountain region of Puerto Rico. And every time I am in or view mountains, like an inner peace, I love mountains.
Thank you for making time to tell us about your work and a little more about you.
It's fun talking to you.
Thank you all for joining us for Academy Unscripted.